being out here, gambling, having fun, seeing the sights, I mean, we can't not play a little bit of poker, you know?
Of course.
So a lot of fun hands that happen, some unique situations. So I'm curious to kind of get your thoughts on them as well as, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think we're going to try to call these hands like what? Like hands with Paul?
Like that, yeah. I do think it's kind of cool because, you know, when we're traveling and I can play 5, 10 or some of these other limits for you to give your insight on some of these hands, you know?
For sure,
while I'm going through them. All right, here we go. So when we get started, we actually got ace king off, under the gun +1 raised to 35, and I actually re-raised to 75. At this point of the game, there was a lot of folding, there was a lot of chopping. The game was just kind of like just starting in terms of you know, chips splashing around. But there was 2 callers, and the flop was Jack, 7 of hearts, and the 6 of clubs. I bet 85 on the flop, and one of the other players raised to 350. At the time I folded, and obviously I didn't have a pair. People were barely putting $40 to $50 into the pots on any street at that time. I just felt like it was really strong. I played no hands with the player. I just thought it was the best play at that time. The next hand I get are pocket kings, beautiful cowboys. So I'm in the straddle for $20. Now the guy to my left raises to 60, and there's 2 other callers. So I make it 225, and 2 people call. The flop is 9 of hearts, 7 of hearts, and 9 of diamonds. I actually, in my position, decided to check because the board seemed a little bit scary, and also maybe for a little bit of pot control. I believe my stack was around 1,300. I checked, and it checked through. The turn, of course, is the most perfect card in the world. It's the king of diamonds, which gives me a full house. And I decided to bet 225. There was fold and then 1 caller. The river comes, and I'm telling you, this river killed my action. The river was the ace of spades. It went check, and then I bet 500, and the final player folded. I feel like the other player was a little bit confused by me checking the flop. Now, maybe the player had a king. Regardless, that ace just completely killed my action. And so I don't know if I played that right. I don't know if checking that flop was the smartest play, but I ended up winning, you know, about 500 from that pot. So don't know what you think about that, Andy, that strategy. Or
I think in general, your flop check, for the reasons you listed, I think it makes sense to check sometimes. You're also right in that the ace was a very bad card for you in the sense of getting more action. But I also think that part of it is accepting running bad in terms of runouts like that too. You know, like that's a huge part of running bad that's often overlooked. Like in your situation, the ace just was the worst card for him to want to see if he had a king or if he had another pocket pair. You know, the ace looks like it hits you a lot. On the river, there's still a chance he'll call with the king there for a chop with your sizing. You know, you didn't go too large. So yeah, I mean, I think there wasn't really too much you could do in this spot. Unfortunately, just a bad run out for you, and that's what it is.
Because, so I guess this is an important question. You have pocket kings, right? Mm-hmm. When the flop comes out 997, 2 hearts, I'm looking at that scenario like, is that board super scary? No, right? If I do put out a small C bet and somebody jams over the top, I basically have to call. Right? Yeah. In terms of my stack size, my hand, the board texture, and my position in between the 2 players, I don't know what's the most optimal there, you know? I guess it can vary.
It definitely can vary, and a lot of times it varies depending on your opponents that are in hand with you, you know, their tendencies and what you think their likely action is going to be if you do bet or check.
Right.
So, you know, so I'd go from there.
I feel like by doing that, by checking that flop, got me the call on the turn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's infinite possibilities, but you gotta understand too that like some of the times you check, the ace is gonna roll off on the turn, and if it rolls off on the turn, then you might be checking again on the turn, you know? Yeah. And then you're really killing your action.
Right.
So.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right. So continuing on, the next hand I get ace 10 offsuit. It was raised to 65 by the small blind. I call plus the straddle calls as well. So 3 players going into the flop. The flop is ace of hearts, king of spades, 10 of spades. I actually led into the original raiser. I bet 85. There's just 1 caller. On the turn, the queen of diamond hits, which puts a 1-liner out there. So if you have a jack, there's a straight, obviously. I thought about it for a while, ended up checking, and the original raiser bets 225 into me. I know there's still a flush draw on that board, but it's just such a good card for that player's range. I ended up folding after thinking a while. I asked him later exactly what he had. He ended up just having a flush draw with 2 raggy cards. So it was actually a good bet on him because he was in position. So made the wrong fold there, but it's still a tough spot. In the next hand, I get pocket deuces. In the small blind, the button raises to 60. I call. The flop is ace of spades, deuce of hearts, and a 7 of diamonds. Perfect flop for me. I actually led 65. The other player calls. The turn is the queen of clubs. This time I bet 125, hoping he hits some of that. Unfortunately, he folds and we take down the pot. So the next hand, I get queen 10 of diamonds. So there was a raise by early position to 65. I call. The flop is queen 6-9 with 1 diamond. I actually led into this pot for 175. He calls. On the turn is the 3 of diamonds. So now I have a flush draw with top pair. I bet 250. He just calls. When we get to the river, the flush actually gets there, and I end up betting 275, but he insta pushes to 750. He raises. And so I'm so confused. He just calls me down the entire time. Does he really have ace high flush, but he just hit it on the river? I ended up calling him, and he actually flopped a set. He had pocket sixes. So he just called me the whole way down, let me hit the flush, and then he shoves all his chips in. I'm under the gun +1, and I have ace jack offsuit. The button decides to raise it to 85. I called. The flop is 9-8-6 with 2 clubs and spade. Now I checked, and we actually ended up both checking. The turn was the ace of hearts. I actually checked again. He bet 110. I called. The river is the queen of hearts. I ended up checking again. He checked too, and I won. I kind of like completely minimized the amount of money I made on this hand, but I just didn't play it correctly. I wasn't actually scared or anything. At the moment, I had thought trying to play like that would have induced more, but the person just shut it down. So listening to that hand, right? I have ace jack. I mean, someone could even say that I could re-raise him pre-flop. What I thought was really weird was why he also didn't bet the flop, being in position. Just what do you think about the play in general? Like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like the standard play is obviously to always check to the raiser, but I think once you check the flop and he checks back and then the turn comes an ace, I think it's a little weird if you lead out there because he could obviously have some bigger aces than you there.
True.
Right? I mean, he was the last aggressive pre-flop. He checked back. It makes sense. He could have some ace queen, ace kings, right?
Right.
And if he doesn't, if he was giving up on the flop and the ace comes and you check again, you're kind of giving him some rope to bluff there because that's a really good bluffing card for him, right?
Sure.
And so I kind of like the way you played it. I probably would have played the same way. There's not really much you can do after you call the turn. It'd be really weird to lead out when the queen hits on the river. So I think he played it fine, you know? He just decided to take a one stab, and once you called, then he gave up on the river.
Also, like, technically, by the way I played it, someone can think that I might have been chasing the flush, right?
Right. It's really hard for him to bet again on the river if he didn't have you beat.
Maybe he actually hit that queen and had some showdown value.
That's a very likely possibility.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Maybe if the queen doesn't hit, he fires again, and then now you have a decision to make, right?
Right. Like, because in that event, if he does hit the queen, if he bets, like, what's calling him there?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that makes sense,
Exactly.
actually. Okay. So I get pocket aces. I'm in middle position. Under the gun, +2 raises to 60. I re-raise to 160. Now this situation is a little unique because the other player that was in the pot was kind of crazy, and he had called people down for like $1,000 with bottom pair. So there's 2 callers. The flop is the queen of clubs, 3 clubs, and 7 of diamonds. I bet 300. The straddle shoves, which is that volatile player, shoves for 800. The other player folds. I call instantly. This is the perfect situation that I've been waiting for this entire time. The turn hits the 10 of hearts, and on the river is the 4 of hearts. And hopefully my hand held up. Of course, he turns over queen 10 for 2 pair. He turned the 2 pair. And Andy, you probably saw me, but I was like devastated.
You were. I felt it. I was next to you, and I just felt. I felt your energy. You know, it's like you didn't say much, but you're just like.
Yeah.
You took like a deep sigh.
Yeah. I've been playing solid the entire night. This was a perfect spot with this guy, and he just banks it on the turn. And What made it even worse, he just locks it up almost for the rest of the night.
Right.
He plays so snug. I mean, it's just like, what? My mood was really down because we were playing like 6-7 hours at that point.
Right.
And just to have that, like, man, it was just, it's a punch in the gut, man. When we're catching our chips, I was saying like, why me? Why me?
The result of it, what's going to happen, what, 1 out of 5 every 5 times, you know?
Yeah.
And so once you tell yourself that, you kind of just shrug it off. You know, it is what it is. Like, he flopped top pair, and for the amount that he has, it was getting in. It was going in no matter what. And whatever happens after that, it's going to happen.
Yeah. But it's all good. I think I ended up like $100 from that session. But yeah, I guess, you know, get him next time, and you know, GG. So
yeah, GG.
So I get ace jack offsuit. I'm in late position.
Hold on, Paul.
What?
Yeah, I can't do this hand history stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
What?
The guy's telling me a hand, you know, or like a bad beat, and I'm just like, I gotta go, bro.
Okay, let me finish this, please, because I don't want to do this again. This is like painful.
It's painful for me to hear, man.
I know, yeah.